maybe I'll let everybody in on this. One
Oh,
time,
giddy, oh boy.
fairly recently, I had an exam that I was doing, and it was three like short essay questions, so not like a huge exam, but still.
Hmm.
And my method for taking any exam is to not just start at number one and go all the way through, but
Hmm.
especially if it's essay questions, to like go to the bottom and like write notes all the way on the bottom and then the middle and then the top
Sure.
and then flesh out, right? So then I'm like rotating it in my mind.
Hmm.
And it turns out that there's one bad thing about that, which is that you could have your little notes in each of the sections, but not have written your full short essay yet. And you're scrolled to the like the third question. You're like, I'm gonna answer this one first. But accidentally you scroll and your little mouse thing is so close to the submit button. And it's not a big deal because you're like, I'm grown, I'm gonna fill out my little essay, but maybe you have a cat, and I'm not gonna name any names, but you just saw him. And
Oh
maybe he
no.
loves he loves to play on people's laps so much. His favoriteest thing in the world is to cuddle on your lap, and so you let him cuddle on your lap, except that maybe he gets excited by the little tap 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 of the keys. He jumps up onto the computer and submits
Oh
your exam.
no. Oh no. This is
Then
like
you have to
the
then you
equal
have to email your professor and say, "Hey, Dr. Merrill,
did my homework.
turns out it's unlikely but not impossible for your cat to submit your exam before you're ready." It was on a
The dog
Friday.
ate my
We,
homework and my cat
yes,
submitted it for me.
that's what he said. We didn't have class that day, but we have like a book club thing on Friday afternoons that he's a part
Uh-huh.
of. And so we did the book club, whatever, and then at the end we're leaving and he's like, he brought it up. He's like, that is comical. It was very, it's like as if your dog ate your homework. And I was like, I know, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So he reopened it so I could resubmit with like full sentences.
That's
It was
really
okay.
nice of him.
Yeah. I was like, I'm happy to just take the L on this one if needed.
Fair enough. If
Yeah.
you don't believe me, I won't even be angry about it.
I know, I know. It was one of those things where it's like it does sound made up, but then it's also like if I was just gonna lie,
Why not come up with a
like
more believable one?
I would come up with a more believable one, or I would just like not do the exam. You know what I mean? Like I would just be like,
Yeah,
I don't want to do this, I'll take the zero. But to
yeah.
be
It's
so close,
like it's the would I lie to you principle. Like the more ridiculous
yeah,
it sounds,
the more likely it
you
is to be
wouldn't
true.
have.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You guys
Maybe
would
so.
be so proud of me. Yesterday I watched this movie again. It was and
Nice.
I actually took notes because I figured I would
What?
watch it and then I would forget everything that I thought of. I did, but
Hmm.
now I'm remembering it all by looking at my
Hmm.
phone with my notes.
I am really proud of you because every single week without fail, we'll forget everything that we were going to talk about in the movie unless we have notes.
Hmm. Definitely true.
I
So
was
you've predicted a problem that we have constantly.
oh, and it's only my first day.
I know. It's impressive.
Should have been our manager.
Dude, I
Yeah.
mean, I could if you guys support me making PowerPoints because I was so tempted to make a PowerPoint about this movie because I'm so passionate about how much I love it. Uh,
We love PowerPoints actually. If
We
that's what
are
it
big
takes
PowerPoint people.
for you to be hired as our manager, we
Oh my
won't pay you
gosh.
with money because we're not making any money, but
okay,
we can any number of PowerPoints you want to make. If that's what seals the deal, then we're happy to do that.
just pay me in like ounces of granola. I think I can work with that.
That's a
Okay,
really good deal.
Yeah.
we can do that. Yeah.
Doesn't even have to
Sometimes my
be
mom,
money.
yeah, sometimes my mom makes homemade granola, so that's like for a bonus or something. You can come over when it's warm. It'll be good.
Sounds like a deal.
You guys are not gonna believe this. I just found a huge UV flashlight in my
Pictures or
crap.
did it happen? Let me see it.
Okay, I'm coming. I'm coming back over.
Yeah,
Hold on.
you're right.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
not
I
gonna
also just
believe
found
it.
my
Yeah.
passport.
I don't believe
Oh,
you.
nice.
Prove it.
Can you show us your passport, but like in incredible detail? Actually, if you could like scan every page over, that would be
Yeah,
great.
and then I need a driver's license to go with it because I have to like check it with another form of ID to make sure it's accurate.
Right.
Right, because
Okay.
how
Well,
are we
you're
going
not
to
going to
know
need
that
my
it's
social
you?
security license or social security number, are you?
Well,
No, we don't need that
maybe. We'll
yet.
see.
Okay.
Depends on
Okay.
how good your
Depends
driver's
on
license looks.
exactly.
I didn't know it was going to be like a level of quality thing. What if my picture looks bad?
Oh, bye, Lucy.
Skill issue. We'll just have
Dang
to
it,
find
you're
someone else to
right.
rob. I
I
mean,
mean,
I
Excuse
mean,
me.
help,
Did you?
help.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's funny. It sounded like you said Rob there for a
No,
second.
yeah,
That was funny.
Freudian slip.
who's
Freudian slip.
Rob?
The
Speaking of Freudian slips, this was probably the worst moment of my week. One of the,
podcast here.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
but that goes without saying.
Yeah.
starting out the week strong.
Wrong.
Um, Olivia, you remember how like a year ago I got like a better quality microphone for these, and it
Hmm.
didn't really fit on my phone, so I haven't really used it. Well, I
Yes.
haven't really been using the case that I used to use, so I'm like, well, I can just try to find the microphones. I can't find them. I've lost them completely. This is the flashlight, though.
Whoa. Oh,
Yeah.
Hey,
that's crazy.
nice.
I believe you.
Oh, sorry.
That's a good
And here's
flashlight.
the cat that crawled on my back. It was bent over looking. Um, what was I gonna? Oh my gosh. Yeah, so one of the interns in our neighbor office came in this week to ask us a question. And he's very tall. He's like 6'6". So I was
Too tall, some might say.
too tall. And that's exactly the point that I was trying to make.
Yeah,
Jen was
like
like,
chill
he was
out,
pretty
maybe.
cute. And I was like, I think for people that are too, and now the word that came to mind was high, because I was like high up, but
Mm-hmm.
my brain said, oop, little note. That's not the meaning of that word. That has to do with drugs. You mean tall. So what I said was for people that are that hot, because I stopped
Oh,
high halfway through and my
uh,
brain started to say tall, but said hot instead. And I didn't
mhm.
hear this because I was like just moving on through the sentence. Hot,
Mhm.
tall, blah 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 blah. I was making the joke that his bones don't work right on account of those people who are too like 7 feet tall. They die
Oh
young.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, he wouldn't be there to provide for my family, which wasn't a very good joke anyway. But everyone laughed me out of the room. They were like, ha ha ha, Freudian slip. You said hot. I was like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. But no one believed me because
But you did.
you can't deny a Freudian slip. The
Yeah.
more you deny it, the more it's like,
May think
but
she
I
just took us
didn't.
too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a Freudian slip if people blame you for saying something that you just actually didn't say?
Uh, I mean, is it only a Freudian slip in speech, or is it also in receiving the sounds?
Let me give you the example
Like
that
how you could look stupid, but I don't see stupid? Like, is it like that?
let me give you the example of what I'm thinking of. And this is
Okay.
a story I love to tell. Third grade, we are playing a board game as a class in school. Um, we're teachers rolling the dice, and each spot has like, if you're wearing a green shirt, advance 2 spaces. If your hair is above your shoulder, go back 1 space. And so the teacher rolls the dice, and it says
Mhm.
all boys move back 3 spaces. And my teacher doesn't like any kind of replacements for swear words. So, oh my gosh, what the heck, holy cow. In her eyes, those are considered swear words, and that
What
we
are you
would,
supposed to
Right.
say?
yeah, we would be punished if we said those things
You
because
should have
we're
just said the
basically,
real word.
I know. Well, here's the thing I didn't say anything, and my teacher was like, who said that? Who said that? And everyone pointed at me because everyone heard me say, oh my gosh, that's like, it just like in response to that, I didn't say anything. Everyone was like,
Wow.
Jude said, "Oh my gosh, I
That's not
didn't."
fair.
And so my teacher's like, "I'm going to call your mother after class today and tell her what you did."
No.
So that's just the opening of the story. The story gets a lot better. But in that scenario where I'm blamed for saying something that I just didn't say, but they gaslit me into thinking that I did say it. Is that a Freudian slip or is that just gaslighting?
That's just mean. That's just bullying, I'm pretty sure.
I think it's a ghost.
Yeah.
I like Olivia's because it makes me feel better that I got bullied.
Yeah.
Well, the same is
um,
true for mine, except it's a ghost bullying you.
Yeah. Yeah.
the the real kicker of the story is I get home and my mom is sitting on the couch, arms crossed, very upset.
No.
And she goes, I got a call from your teacher saying you said a swear word today in class. And I dropped my bags and I was like, she's crazy. I just said, oh my gosh. She's stupid. I just said, oh my gosh. And I don't even think I said it. I think kids blamed me. And my mom, she's wonderful. She believed every word I said. So she got on the
Mhm.
phone with
No.
my teacher and showed her what real swear words sounded like. And
Let's
she went
go.
all out on my teacher. My teacher never bothered me the rest of the year.
Your
Nice.
mom is a hero.
She is. She's the
That's
best.
amazing. I'm so used to hearing stories about people's moms not believing them over the word of a teacher.
I know.
Mhm.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard. Oh my
She's
gosh.
the goat for real.
I'm
Now,
sorry, I don't mean
True.
to swear.
oh my gosh.
Whoa, hey. Crazy.
No, but
Look what I
one of
found.
her reasoning is like you can't say holy cow because that's offensive to Hindu people because they worship cows. I'm like, oh my goodness. That's so dumb.
The thing is, like, do they?
Do they? How do you know?
They,
Third grade
you know,
teacher.
yeah. I think if you had like a Hindu student in your class who was offended by it, then you could be like, okay, fair. But if it's like some hypothetical Hindu person who may or may not be offended by somebody saying the phrase "holy cow," maybe it's not that big a deal, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true.
But, I learned a very valuable lesson that day. Um,
Your mom always keeps a can of whoop ass in the fridge.
that's bro, she's got it in stock in bulk. Yeah, anytime like I tell them, oh, I had like a bad day at school. This one kid told me my breath stank, but that's because I didn't brush my teeth, so it's kind of real for that. But anytime I would say like this kid did this to me, she'd be like, give me their phone number, give me their parents' phone number. I'm gonna beat them up.
That's awesome.
That's really good.
I wish I had done that with my mom because my mom also would have done that. Um, but I straight up had a teacher force me to get on the wrong bus that was going to the other side of town
Huh?
to go
Why?
home because I thought that I was going to get in trouble. She just got mixed up. She's like, "You're gonna." They said last call. She had like a really heavy Boston accent.
Boston. You gotta get on the bus. It's the last call.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like we're at a bar.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was riding the bus home with a friend that day, and she had changed buses halfway through the year, so she thought that I was getting on the original bus number, and they left really
Mm.
early. But no, I wasn't. I was getting on the last bus that left really late in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But she made
Mhm.
me get on not my normal bus, not my friend's normal bus, totally random bus that goes to the wrong side of town. And I'm sitting there, I'm the last kid on the bus, crying, and the bus driver's like, "Honey, where do you need to go?" And I never told my mom because I thought I was gonna get in trouble.
Oh no.
Dude, I've
Yeah.
had nightmares of bus mix-ups. I a lot of my nightmares as a child was me being somewhere without any way to contact my mother. Because if I
Mhm.
was somewhere and my mom didn't know where I was in trouble and I was going to die. So like
Oh.
I'd have bus scares where I'd get on a bus, similar to your experience, where just take me somewhere and I'm like, I'm not going to be
Yeah.
getting home. It's getting dark. I don't have a phone to call my mom. She's going to freak out. I don't know what to do. Those were my nightmares as a kid. It's just not being
Mhm.
able to get home and tell my mom I got safe. And there's a reason for that. Because one day when I got home from school, the rule is always call mom when you get home from school.
Mhm.
I had just received a present for my birthday, Halo 3 on the
Well,
Xbox. And so I know it was pretty cool. And
yeah.
so one of the neighbor kids came over, and my brother, we all went down to the basement and started playing immediately after school. And we were like having a blast for like 2 hours until we hear the front door slam against the wall. And you just hear, boys, come upstairs now. And like we look at our friend that came over and was like, you should probably go home. We're gonna be in trouble. And so like Our friend runs upstairs first, gets out the door, and then my brother and I like slowly crawl up the stairs and we're like, "Hey mom, what's up?" And she's like, "Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you call me when you got home?" "We were playing Halo 3." Go downstairs and grab the disc. And so my brother,
Oh.
no, it was me. I like just slowly with tears in my eyes went downstairs, ejected the disc from its holy grail, and carried it delicately up to my mother. And she held it, pinched it, and got her nasty fingertips on the shiny side of the disc and said, "If this thing is more important than me," snaps it in half, "then I don't want you to play
Ooh.
it." She's like, "Don't you ever put something else before me. You're supposed to call me every time you get home and let me know that you're homesick." Because she was a single mom. She was working hard and she wanted to make sure her boys were safe. Very good
Mhm.
lesson. We learned it in the worst way possible.
So sad.
I had to wait for Christmas to get another copy of Halo 3.
Did
Oh,
she get you one, or was it someone else who had to provide?
I think I just stole a copy from my friend's house, honestly.
That's funny.
that's funny. I had to wait till Christmas till somebody would let me steal Halo from them.
Yeah. Back then, my mom
Uh,
was like, any violent games with blood and gore are gross. And now she's like,
right.
"I'm so sorry for doing that. That was mean. You should just be able to play what you want."
Aw, that's the thing about character development is
Mhm.
sometimes it takes a while, and sometimes you're a little kid before the development happens.
Dude, my mom's
Yeah.
character development is honestly for the best. Same with mine. I was kind of a dinkhead, and now I'm
Mm.
a
Whoa.
dinkhead but taller.
Nice.
That's not true for
Sorry,
me. I was
I'm
born
a dinkhead
perfect.
but hotter. Sorry, Freudian slip. See, that was a callback joke.
Yeah,
I should get
nice.
paid
Good. That's
extra
good.
granola for that one.
Yeah, so the fun thing about this is this whole podcast is scripted.
Oh, I forgot to read it.
It's just
That's
foreshadowing.
Am I doing
really, we
good? I
have
forgot
really
to
good
read it.
writers. Yeah.
Oh, I see the
All part
script
of the
now.
plan.
Jude
It's your
talks
And
about his
notes, all the
childhood
stuff.
and how
Yeah.
he was traumatized. That was my favorite part of the script.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
mine
that's
too. It
it
was
really
pretty
gets
good. It
to
was
like the
gripping.
emotional part of the story, you know. People are going to relate to this podcast because
Yeah.
they say, I used to be a scared little kid once. I had a single mom, you know?
I used to be like that. I used to be a dumb kid that would have nightmares about not getting home.
Yeah.
I
My
used
name
to
used to
be
be
a silly little
Jude.
dinkhead.
Little
Yeah.
dinkhead. Well, this is my first, I think, exposure to having media of my thoughts and opinion online for the world to hear. And I know like
Yay!
Wow.
thousands of people listen to your guys' podcasts. I know you're
Yep.
very
They do
popular. So I'm very thank
every
you for
week. Yeah.
having me. I know you guys have a very busy schedule. So
Oh
thank you
yeah.
for
Well,
letting
you
me
know
be.
what? Weird Al Yankovic actually had to pull out very last minute, so we're glad you could
Yeah.
fill
Because
in
we had the
his
space. Yeah.
slot. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually had down
It's,
written in my notes. I wrote an introduction for myself. If it's not
oh,
too late, I would still love to do that.
you should still do
Please.
that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hello. Oh, what's the name of your podcast, by the way?
Oh, it's Women in STEM. And I have more
Mhm.
to tell you about
Am
that
I
later,
STEM?
but you can do your introduction first.
Am I the STEM part, or do I just am I on the sideboard?
We
Technically,
trans
you're
your
a woman in
gender
STEM.
for the duration of
Okay,
the
so
video.
Hmm.
okay. Um,
Yeah.
here we go. Here's my introduction that I planned out and forgot to do because I got too busy yapping.
Okay.
Hey everyone, my name is Jude. I'm creator of Women in STEM. I am an Academy Award winner, Nobel Peace Prize winner, notorious for my ongoing 13-year YouTube vlog channel. Go check it out, like and subscribe. A
Mhm.
professional astronaut, and I'm about to release my new book called Bible 2. It's about my experience of reading the first Bible and how it impacted my life. And I thought the name was so good that I would just use it again because why not? So that's a little bit about me. And I'm so excited to be on this podcast, and I can't wait to talk about my favorite movie today.
Great.
Thank you for that, Jude.
Thanks.
And it
Yeah.
really is a pleasure to have the creator of this podcast on the channel. It's
I
it's
know.
thrilling for all of us.
It just doesn't happen that often, you know. It's refreshing. And again, you're such a busy person winning all your various awards, writing Bible
Mhm.
2. Did I hear an inkling that there was Bible 3 in the process as well?
um,
I mean,
my
this is a good
publisher
get.
tells me I should just no comment.
Okay. Hey, fair enough.
Intriguing.
I had to try. I had to try.
Keep reading, and
Um,
maybe you'll find Easter eggs or little loopholes for book three. Yeah,
Potential foreshadowing.
potential foreshadowing.
Easter eggs,
But
you say.
by law, I'm required to just say no comment.
Easter is in the original Bible too. That's crazy.
But wait till you hear about Easter
Whitney,
too.
yeah, Eastern 2, Gandhi 2. Anyway, Jude, if you haven't watched the movie UHF, you have to. It's
I
so
love the
good, you'd
movie
love it.
UHF.
That's so
Good,
good.
good, good, good. I assumed so, but I didn't want to.
Thank you. It has been a while since I've watched it, so I might be due for a rewatch. But I loved watching it when I did.
Yeah, you
Very
definitely
good.
are due for
And
a rewatch because I just
yeah,
rewatched it less than a week ago, and the first time I had seen it was like a month ago, and that was too long of a gap.
mhm.
So,
You got to be
I
watching
mean,
it like every other week, I think,
yeah.
for like,
yeah,
because otherwise you get vitamin deficient, but like vitamin UHF deficient. Whitney, it's funny
yes.
that you brought up Weird Al earlier, because I have been getting ads for Weird Al is gonna have a concert in Idaho Falls in August.
No way.
Hello.
I guess
Yeah,
we're
and
gonna have
I
to
looked up
do.
tickets less than $100 per person, but more than 50, but it's Weird Al, so it's like
Okay.
kind of a steal.
Oh, when is
So,
this concert?
it's August 8th in Idaho Falls.
August.
It's not
Hmm
gonna beat the Tool concert I saw at IF that was taking place at 9 in the morning. I
That is
still
the
think that's the
funniest time
best.
of day
I
for
know.
Tool concert.
Yeah, in Idaho Falls of all places.
Like every concert is in the evening, but
Yeah.
especially like it's not like it's a classical music like with brunch after. Like it's
No, it's
Tool.
Tool with brunch
Like
after.
that's so funny.
Going
Yeah.
back to what you said about rewatching a movie and how it only took you a month and you're like, it's too long. I
hmm
find that a lot of movies I've watched as a child, I come back and watch them like 8, 12 years later. And it's like a completely new experience for me because I'm so smart and I'm so hot now that when
hmm
I'm watching these movies, I'm catching on all the jokes I missed as a kid. I'm actually
Mhm.
focusing more on the plot rather than, oh man, Raphael is such a cool Ninja Turtle. Um, and I stopped
Well, he
focusing
is
on.
though.
I mean, he is. He's obviously
Mhm.
the best Ninja Turtle. Just putting that out there.
Mhm.
But yeah, watching movies now that I haven't seen in years is one of my favorite things to do. And I think UHF falls in that category if I watched it long enough ago that I'll probably like it even more the second time.
That I think is the best practice because if there has been enough time between the first watch and now you're an adult, like you said, you're sexier, you're hotter, you're taller, then it's if you like it as an adult, then there's nostalgia doesn't really intrude on that, you know. You can like it just for its merits as a movie
Mhm.
instead of thinking, "Oh, I don't know if I like this movie. I don't know if it's actually good."
Yeah.
On account of I watched it when I was a little bitty baby, which is not
Mhm.
to say that movies that aren't good are bad,
We
but
would
you
never
understand.
say that a movie that isn't good is bad. We would never say that on this
N-
podcast.
Yeah.
no, famously.
Unless it's like good because it's bad.
hmm
But at that point, if it's so good because it's bad, then objectively, isn't it just a good movie?
It's just good. Right, that's what
Ugh.
we're saying.
Yeah. And even if
Yeah.
it's bad, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. I
hmm
like so many bad movies, including movies that I wouldn't recommend to anyone ever. But
Like
Yeah.
what? Tell me what you would not recommend me to watch.
he asked Olivia,
Put
I
it
would
on your
not
do not
recommend.
watch list. Like you have like a watch list
I'm
and then you
gonna
have a do
never
not watch
watch this
list.
movie. Just tell me what movie I should never watch, and I crossing my fingers. I promise not to watch
Nice.
it.
Well, I actually want people to watch that one. I just don't like recommending it. The one, maybe Trolls.
Mhm.
I love
Okay,
that movie so much. It's so stupid, and I know that,
I haven't
but I
seen
have so much fun.
I haven't
It
seen
is
any of
fun.
the newer Trolls movies, but I have seen the first one, and
I
I'm kind of on
know.
board with the. This is kind of like a yeesh. This is bad, but if you're having fun, then isn't it good?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I think about singing "Killed My Grandma" just every day. They
I
made Justin Timberlake say that line in the booth. I am
singing killed my grandma.
obsessed.
I
That's
hate my
so
grandma.
funny. I love that. One movie that I don't recommend to people, but I also want everybody to watch always is Ravenous. It's a 1999 gay cannibal Western.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I think the greatest movie that's ever been made. But
But it's like you don't want to be the one to have told somebody about this movie. They're watching the movie and a little bit in the back of their mind thinking of you, you know? So it's like
yes,
everybody should watch it, but I'm not going to recommend it.
Yeah.
yeah. I stumbled upon it organically at 3:30 in the morning on Christmas
Ooh,
Eve of last year. And I think that's
wow.
kind of how everybody else should discover it, except for the unfortunate few in my close circle who
Just
I forced
just
to
get
watch it
like
with me.
physical copies of this movie and put it under the tree for all your friends to
They
get
mail
from
it
Santa, not from
anonymously
you.
to people.
Yeah. And so they get it on Christmas Eve and you say open one
I'll
day early.
start ripping the disc.
Whoa. Wait, let me see the cover of that again. I love that. That's
It's
so
Guy
cool.
Pearce and Robert Carlyle is in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Robert Carlyle, wow.
Yep.
I know.
So the making of this movie actually caused a nationwide fake blood shortage.
No, okay, now I have to watch it.
I know,
Yay!
right? Yeah.
I actually wrote my final paper in school. It was like a whole semester long project, and I wrote the paper on that movie, and I got a really good score. So
Really good score implies you didn't get an A, or else you would say you got an A.
I got a 3 out of 50. But I'm
Yeah.
not bitter about it. That was, it's no big deal.
A really good score. I mean, I guess some score is better than no score.
Yeah,
I
but
would
at
have
that
preferred the
point,
zero.
is it?
Like
It's
the
like
people
getting a
who write
10
in
cent
a
tip.
single, yes, exactly.
Hmm. So welcome to Women in STEM,
Thank
the
you.
podcast. You're welcome.
The
Um,
podcast and the people.
the podcast and the people, everybody. And so the conceit of the podcast is that we call it Women in STEM, but then since we're not talking about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics majority of the time, we just change what the letters stand for so that they can fit what we're talking about.
Hmm.
So, for
Hmm.
example, the S of today could be for selkie.
Hmm. Hmm.
Silky.
Hmm.
Or
So, or,
just, I don't know, super.
oh, super, true.
Super's a good S word, I
Super.
think.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, yes.
That is
So
true.
kind of the challenge before we get started in like the bulk of the conversation is figuring out what the rest of the letters stand for.
Okay. I
Yeah.
like Silky because that's very on point of
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
movie. The movie being Song of the Sea, which S could also stand for
It could
that.
just be the name of the movie. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow. I haven't had to do this in a while. T for what? Does it
No, that
have
starts with a
to?
W.
Okay.
Got him.
M could be mom dead
Oh my.
Mom dead. That's
Or mom.
true.
or just mom.
She's not dead technically.
Maybe just mom.
Spoilers.
Yeah, mom. Mom dead?
Mom.
Question mark. Could just be mom. I think E could be for ire, like the Irish word for Ireland.
Iron.
Starts with an E. Easy.
Oh,
Or
fun.
Emerald, because like what is it? The Emerald. It's not the Emerald State. Is it called? I know Ireland has an Emerald something for a title.
Oh.
I'm
Emerald
using my.
Isle?
That could be it.
Because it's an isle?
Hmm.
Island.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Emerald Isle Casino, North Carolina.
Hey! Road trip, anyone?
This is so much pressure. Does it have to be based like this? All of STEM based around the movie, or can it be just in theme with us talking about a movie?
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything else that we'd end up talking about. That could be part of
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
One time it was metal. We had our friend John on, and he didn't want to talk about a movie. He just wanted to talk about metal, like the concept of like various metals. So it could be anything, is what I'm saying.
Maybe I'll start my own podcast with that guy and just talk about metals every single episode.
Yeah, he also
I
does
think
he makes swords.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, he's the coolest person we've ever known.
Yeah, yeah.
You
It's
should have
weird
him on
that
again.
we ended up friends with him, you know?
Yeah.
But I do think
Mhm.
if you and he had a podcast together where you just talk about like metal, like knife forgery, etc.,
Mhm.
you'd get definitely a million subscribers,
I think so.
like almost instantly. You know, people would
I
like
I
to
would watch
see,
it.
I don't
people
think I
would
would
want to
do that.
watch two white boys who don't know each other talking about metal, you
Yeah,
know?
and I don't know anything about metal other than my favorite kind of metal.
Which is what?
The one that sounds cool when you hit it with another piece of metal.
Uh-huh.
I don't know names. I don't know
He's a
blacksmithing.
percussionist,
I know
so.
Minecraft. I know how to make a sword in Minecraft.
Oh yeah, you could talk
Mhm.
about Minecraft.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. John can talk about real world application of what you talk about in Minecraft.
Yeah, well, because
It could
he
be fun.
was wanting to be an engineer, right?
Mhm.
So like that's like real life Minecraft. It totally fits.
Yeah,
Yeah, easy.
yeah. Your podcast should be called Real Life Minecraft.
I'm still thinking about a good acronym.
Oh yeah, for
Selkie.
T, we don't have
For
T
Selkie,
really.
we have S, and it doesn't have to make sense. So, like it,
No, that's
you know,
true. It can just be
Mhm.
4 words.
four words.
Yeah.
T, we could do. Oh,
Oh, the
mm,
director's name is Tom Moore.
Tom
Easy.
Moore is the
Tom
director. I
Moore.
love Tom Moore.
Hmm.
There we go.
E, we can do emotions because that's a
There are a
very
few of them.
heavily.
There's several.
There's
Yeah.
at least two I've seen in the movie.
Some might even
Hmm.
say too many.
Too many.
Hmm.
Whoa.
And we could do like myth because a lot of it is Irish or Gaelic mythology.
That is
Facts.
true. So you don't like the mom dead idea?
I like it. I just think the audience will like it too much, and we don't want to get them too excited over a
Oh
mom.
yeah, that's true.
Valid.
They'll
I
be
get it.
rioting in the streets again. Yeah.
We can't take another scandal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think we have Silky, Tom Moore,
Hmm.
emotions, and not mom dead, but mythology or just myth
Mythology. Yep.
or movie because it was a pretty good movie.
That's true. The thing is, we try to avoid M being movie because it could apply every single time. So we try to mix it up.
Mhm.
Movies, plural.
Whoa.
Get it all in one go.
Whoa, hey.
Mhm.
All right, so today I guess we are women in Silky, Tom Moore, emotions, and myth. That's us today.
Yeah, we
Let's
are.
go. You hit the ground
Let's
running with
do
that. We
it.
didn't even walk you through it.
He's a natural.
This is great.
He
This
was
is why I had
meant to be on the air.
to. Okay, so I watched this movie earlier this afternoon. Because Jude said, "Please, can you watch this movie so I can be on your podcast to talk about it?" Um, and then
And we
I
said
did,
anything for
and
you, Academy Award winning Jude.
Nobel Peace Prize winning, absolutely creator of our show. We owe everything to you. Naturally, we'll
Mhm.
watch it. So I
Yes.
did, and I didn't spend the last 15 minutes crying. I see your comments about that. I didn't do that. Stop accusing me of it, okay?
That was
Enough.
in the script. It's okay. You're just following orders.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Is it the most beautiful movie I've ever seen? Yes. Am I going to be thinking about it for the rest of my life? Absolutely. Um, and that's pretty much all I have to say about it at this moment. I was blown
It's too
away.
fresh still,
Can I
maybe.
say can I say thank you
Yeah.
so much? Everyone in the past I've shown this movie to and I go, this is it. This is my holy grail. This is my favorite movie. That I show it to them. We all sit down when they watch it and they're like, whatever. That was kind of weird. And you just move
They
on.
don't
And I'm
appreciate
like,
it. They
get out
don't
of my
appreciate
house.
real art like we do, Jude.
Because
Don't
they're
worry,
not
you're
women.
in good hands now.
That actually, that hurt my feelings. I wasn't even the one who went out on a limb to share a piece of myself with someone. They spit in your face like that.
Yeah.
I
I
would
mean,
never talk to them again. Like,
I
not to be
still
dramatic, but
thank you. I appreciate it.
yeah,
Thank you for being open-minded and actually having a heart. I appreciate that.
Mhm. That's
of
what we
course.
try to do every week, you know?
Yep. Mhm.
So what are your collective gathered thoughts in quick bullet points, Olivia? What did you think of the film?
Gathered thoughts, quick bullet points. I also enjoyed it. And I thought, oh, it's weird that Jude doesn't have any real friends.
Hey,
You know?
hey.
It's like, why would they say that? You know what I mean? But I really liked the art style. I thought it was very like it's just different from Disney making every princess look exactly the same, blah blah blah. I love
Mhm.
animation that feels like it was crafted on purpose by somebody who wanted it to look a specific way
Mhm.
and not make it look like every other movie. It's like this movie, like Spider-Verse, there's something different about the animation, which I really appreciated. And I think that
And
it helped drive the story in terms of like it's calling on Irish mythology, but it's also in a kind of modern setting. I felt like that animation really helped bring those two things together.
yeah, and I don't know how you guys feel about spoilers, but if you want to do this first half not spoiler-esque, so that and then we can move into a spoiler section. If people watching this have never heard of the movie, we can just give like a kind of a brief explanation of what we think about it, what we thought about it without heavy spoilers, and we can move
And then
into a
get into
section
the
where we can
plot
get into
details.
detail for the people who have seen it, where they come back after watching it, because I don't
Uh-huh.
That
want
sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. So
one
like
That's a
if
thing.
good
you
system.
if you have not seen it at home, go start watching it now. We'll keep talking, and then by the
Yeah,
time you
And
finish
then
the
you'll
movie and
catch
come
up.
back, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we spoiled or said earlier, mom dead. That happens in like the first 3 minutes and in the trailer, so I think we're fine with
Mhm.
that.
And it's
Mhm.
like, it's one of those, as soon as you see the mom on screen, the very first moment,
You're
you're
like,
like, oh, she's gonna die at the end of this scene. Like, it's obvious.
yeah.
I,
Oh,
I wouldn't. I would go
oh,
as
is she
far as to say
pregnant?
that you just
Mm.
wanting her to die. That's it. You see,
Yeah,
like
because
Well,
it's like, how
Olivia's the
many
kind of
movies
person that would just go like, I just get her off the screen.
get out of here? I, how many
Olivia
movies do
hates
you watch
moms.
where there's like a mom at the beginning, like talking soothingly to her child, and she's also expecting another child, and she lasts through the whole movie. It's just like obvious at this point she's not gonna make it.
Like she's got to push the storyline. Who else is gonna do it?
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Nobody cares if their dad dies. He's
Yeah,
just in the background. Every story has dead mom and then dad who has to step up
yeah.
because of the dead mom.
Yeah, and has a
Now,
hard time doing it. Cloudy with a
Yes, he
Chance of
always has a hard
Meatballs
time
is a
doing it.
yes.
classic example of this. I was gonna say
Yes.
that
And
Emperor's New
everyone's
Groove
always
doesn't
saying
do
that.
that, but I think that
Oh
it
no,
escapes doing that because they didn't have the mom
the
pregnant
the mom is
right
a
in the
Well, the
powerhouse in that
child,
movie,
yeah, the
dude.
is
child
the
Holy
isn't the main
coolest.
cow!
character. Like Cusco
Yeah,
is the main character, so it's about
yeah,
him. If
yeah.
Cusco was the little child in the village with the pregnant mom,
Very
definitely she
good
would
point.
die.
Yeah. Yep,
But
yep,
it's
yep, yep, yep.
it's a different story than that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you moms do not make it in movies, and that is just it's one of the
It's
classic
just one of the
archetypes.
yeah, yeah. It's one of the
Yeah, yeah,
facts of like
yeah.
animated movie life, really.
Man versus nature, mom
Dr.
versus
Doofenshmirtz being
life.
the best dad.
Real and true.
Hey,
Thank you. Actually, Jude, just
facts.
real quick,
Uh huh.
side note, do you Doctor what's his name? Olivia, help me out from Kim Possible. What's the doctor? Draken.
Oh, Draken.
Draken.
Yeah. Do you know Dr. Draken, Jude? Are you familiar with each other?
Vaguely, I watched a lot of Kim
Okay.
Possible as a child with my sister, but my small brain just leaked out all that information. I don't recall most of it.
Okay, that's fine. It's actually I
Okay.
went back and watched it as an adult for the first time. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was very good. Um, and I had a conversation with a couple of coworkers a few months ago about cartoon villains. And their argument between Dr. Draken and Dr. Doofenshmirtz came up. I was like, who would you marry? I said Dr. Doofenshmirtz on account of he's a great dad. He is like leeching off of his ex-wife's alimony, so he's always got money. And he's
Mhm.
he's evil, but none of his schemes ever really work out. So it's not like you'd be like complicit or anything. You just enjoy that.
Yeah.
And my coworker said, "No, Draken can get it." Those were her words. Draken can get it. Now keep in mind, I have talked to this girl about every single human person man that I've ever found attractive, and she laughed at every single one of them, including Ben Barnes, every Indian actor I've ever known. And
Whoa.
she's just
Okay.
like,
Yeah, I
ew,
know.
Spit
gross.
in your
Miles
face
Teller.
much? Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. Miles Teller. But Dr. Draken? Yeah,
Huh.
needless to say, that
Huh.
girl is fired. And it's because of that.
I fired her.
Well, okay, let's hear your friend out. What's like your friend's biggest celebrity crush, or who do they find attractive?
Miles
Miles
Teller.
Teller.
Oh, that's what you were saying? Okay, yeah.
That
Yeah,
was it. What I was
yeah.
Yeah.
telling.
Okay. That makes a lot of
And
sense.
Who's
it's like
attractive? I have nothing
he's an
against
attractive
him.
But
guy.
compared to what you were saying, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
Ben Barnes,
Hmm.
Ram Charan,
Hmm.
don't piss me off.
Going back to what we were saying about father figures in media, this father in Song
Hmm.
of the Sea,
Hmm.
my most recent watch through of it yesterday, he was, I think, one of my favorite characters. Now, there in my eyes, there's always a favorite character and a best character. So my favorite character is the dad. I think he's my favorite just watching his story, even though he doesn't have a ton of screen time compared to Ben or Saoirse. I loved the impacts that he had on the movie and his
Hmm.
story driving the plot forward. The best character, though, hands down, is Ku. Ku is the best character by far.
Absolutely.
We in this house, we love and appreciate Koo for everything he does. He does it all, and he does it with a smile on his face. He loves those
Yeah, he
Yes.
does.
kids. Yeah, and he
He's their real
he's just along
mom,
for the ride.
maybe.
Now,
Who's to say?
the first thing I have top of my list, the very first thing that came to mind while watching this movie were opening credits. Highly
Oh,
underrated.
Mhm.
Opening credits
mhm,
are hype. They
Mhm.
help set the mood of what the story is about to go into. I feel like a lot of modern stories, yeah, people are greedy and they just want to watch the film, so it just immediately starts. And
Mhm.
that's cool. I like that, especially if it's like a certain artistic direction you want to go where you just immediately drop you into this world and you have to figure stuff out. But with the opening
Mhm.
credits here, it kind of sets the tone with the music. I love the music, and it kind of shows you to where the art style and the direction it's going, and it
Mhm.
blends perfectly into the beginning of the movie to where it doesn't
mhm,
feel like you're watching credits. And I don't know, I'm just a huge fan of opening credits at the beginning of films. I think
mhm.
they're wonderful.
Yeah, I think that they can be done very well, and the people who say they don't like them are generally talking about the bad ones. Like Olivia's talked before about not liking opening credit scene where it's just a guy getting ready for the day, and he like gets on a bus, and it's
It's
just like that's the
boring.
whole thing.
And they're just playing some like whatever pop song was like famous enough at the time, but also cheap enough that they could buy it for the movie. It's like I want to see either, like you're saying, an artistic direction where something really interesting is happening, or just
Mhm.
jump into the movie. But where it's like in between and nothing is really happening,
Like
and you can just like
respectfully,
skip 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds a
yeah,
million times, and you're somehow still in the opening
Yes.
credits where nothing is happening. But
like the
I
owl
did
scene in
appreciate the one,
Labyrinth.
like the owl scene in Labyrinth. It's
Everything else about that
funny,
movie is perfect, but that owl,
but why
it
does the
goes on
CGI
for I think
owl
about a half
stay on
hour.
screen for, yeah, fully half of the movie?
I
We're
get that.
trying to get to David Bowie.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Yeah.
Or
but I agree with you that these opening credits do have kind of a flair to them. They introduce you to the world in a
Hmm.
way that it's like fun and engaging, and I didn't feel a need to like, oh my gosh, get to the story already, you know? I thought
Mm-mm.
it was nice to like listen to the music and kind of get involved in the world.
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah. It's like
Unlike
getting used to the temperature of it. Like you step in the pool, you can't just jump right in. You got to kind of like
I
get
take in
used to it.
little
Get
one step at a time.
Yeah, yeah. And then like you said, by the time that you get to the actual story, it doesn't feel jarring. Your brain doesn't say, "Whoa, what is this art style?" You've already been adjusted. That's
yes.
Mhm.
mom going to die soon. That's little boy
Obviously.
Ben, who, by the way, is the cutest kid. I don't know who voiced little tiny baby Ben, but I would die and kill for that kid. He's like, I can't wait for the baby to come. I was already crying. Yeah, maybe I didn't sleep well last night and I'm kind of emotional today, but like, that's none of your business.
Yeah, that's none of our business, and that is not a factor towards what the script says. You're supposed to cry no matter what.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing that I feel a lot of people overlook, and the I watch this movie one day a year. I watched it earlier in the year because of this, and I wanted a fresh outlook on it. But this is my Halloween movie because this takes place on
Mhm.
Halloween. Even though it's like
Mhm.
it is vital to the story for like maybe 2 lines and 3 minutes of the movie, it's still a Halloween movie. It takes place on
Sure.
Halloween.
Mhm.
That's the only justification I have for watching it on Halloween. You can watch it any time of the year, and it's fine. It's
Yeah,
such
well, you can. I think any movie can be a Halloween movie. Beetlejuice is my favorite Halloween movie. It's nothing to do with Halloween. So,
it
like,
would be your
the
favorite
opposite
movie.
can be true as well. You know?
Yeah.
That actually, it's funny that you bring that up because I wrote in my notes this movie is Over the Garden Wall mixed with My Neighbor Totoro,
I
and then
love
So
its
both of
true.
those.
grandfather was Waking Ned Divine
So true.
Oh,
Because it's Irish.
I love
because it's
Waking Ned
Irish.
Divine. I'm so glad I'm in the presence of people with good movie tastes.
All right.
It's
Finally.
refreshing.
Finally. I hope
Yeah,
none of my friends watch this and you're like, is he talking about me?
I hope they are watching it, and I hope
I
they
think
do think that.
it's a moment of self-reflection. Like, oh, did I ever
Mhm.
criticize Jude's movie just because I wasn't open-minded and open-hearted enough to appreciate Irish film? Am I
Mhm.
racist?
And is it pricking at your guilty conscience? Perhaps just a
Mhm.
little?
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to repent, to try new things and open your heart a little bit more to new movies.
Yep, come
Yeah.
crawling
And
back to Jude on your
watch
hands and knees
Waking Ned Divine.
and RRR.
Hmm.
And speaking of reflecting on yourself and your actions, the
Ooh.
characters in this movie, you can see how they reflect onto the mythological characters that they
Jude,
tell
you're
in the
really good
story.
about bringing it back in.
I am
Hmm.
prepared. It's my
This is
podcast. I
good.
have to make sure it's good. And so
I fair. Yeah. We
the
were getting a
only
little too off the rails last week. He's like, whoa, hey, as the owner and creator of Women in STEM, I gotta pull the reins a little bit.
We at least mentioned the name of the movie last week. Did we talk about it? No.
good. Yeah.
But, here we are. We're ready to keep it rolling. And yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the fact that the voice cast is
The same for
it's the same.
Yeah,
I love
that
it
was
when they
really
do that.
good.
I love when actors have multiple roles, like in Jumanji, when
yeah.
the father and the gunman. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Does that
totally.
perhaps have any deeper meaning in the story? No, probably not, right? Just a random casting choice.
Is it
Yeah,
weird
no, they
that when
just
I
wanted
think
to
of
save money on voice actors.
that too? Is it weird that when I thought of the gunman in Jumanji, my immediately went to Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt in Night at the Museum because they look similar and Robin Williams is already in Jumanji, that I just imagined him twice in that
Yeah.
movie as
That's
the gunman.
sweet.
But
You
I
know,
miss him. I
I'm
miss him
yeah,
every
yeah,
day.
I think it's
Yeah,
any opportunity that you have to imagine Robin Williams a little bit more, you should take it.
take it.
that is true. Yeah, Robin Williams and Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt's great. Robin Williams, phenomenal. Jumanji, also good. Go watch that.
Yeah.
This movie, so good. Yes, the mythological creatures reflected in the real story that's happening right now. Fantastic.
Hmm.
Like,
Now all of the characters you see, like you can easily place like Saoirse as a Silky, similar to her mom. Uh, the great Shanaki is the boatman. The owl lady is the grandma.
Hmm.
The dad is the big sad giant dude. But my
Hmm.
one character I kept looking and couldn't find one before is Ben. Ben's the only character where he's just kind of on his own, surrounded in kind of both worlds at the same time. Whereas
Yeah.
all the other characters kind of fit into these other roles, and Ben is the one experiencing the world.
that's a good point.
I think it's cool.
Mhm.
Also,
Yeah,
who is the giant dogs?
yeah.
Yeah,
And oh boy, is he.
Oh, spoilers, by the way. Let's get into the spoiler parts because the next things
Yeah,
I have
yes.
let's
about the
do it.
movie are heavy spoilers going on.
Hmm. Yeah.
Let's do it. Anybody who doesn't want to be spoiled, leave now and then come back.
Hmm.
Yes. And going straight into the spoilers, one of my favorite parts of the movie is how they don't talk.
Yeah.
um, I wrote in my list lack of dialogue like it was a bad thing. It's definitely not. There's a lot of points because Saoirse is like mute, not
Hmm.
mute, but just doesn't speak the first whole of the movie until
Most
like the
of it.
final scene.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
anytime there's a scene with her, anytime it's just like Ben by himself, a lot of the movie doesn't have a lot of pushing dialogue to drive the story. And that's where the art really comes in handy and it just really draws you in. And it's very, very good at storytelling because it kind of feels like you're in a book with the way the art is portrayed. And so
Yeah.
the lack of dialogue, the music carrying it, the storytelling through the art really helps push this movie and just keeps me invested the whole time and kind of
Mhm.
lets your mind wander on what emotions characters are feeling, what thoughts are going through their head while there's no dialogue telling you what to think.
Mhm. That's what I really liked
Absolutely.
about it was that it's a story that trusts its audience. I get so frustrated when stories feel like, I mean, this is a trend going on with Netflix and Amazon execs, right? Is
Mhm.
they have to cater to the on the phone audience. So they've got to really
Mhm.
explain the story so that someone who is on their phone, kind of in the other room listening, will also be able to understand it,
Yeah.
which is so frustrating when you're actually actively paying attention to it and you have the same things explained to you 5 times over. You're like, I
Mhm.
know, I'm paying attention. It's like they're catering to the people who don't even really care about this story enough to pay attention to it. So the
Yeah.
fact
Yeah,
that the
we're
movie
we're making
says,
movies for people who don't watch movies.
Come on. Yeah.
yeah, ridiculous. So the fact that you have to watch the movie to see what's happening, you have to see what Saoirse is doing.
Hmm. I
That
feel like,
they're like, are you here or are you not?
yeah, I feel like a
Hmm.
lot of movies you were saying, but modern movies kind of have that factor of too many flashbacks to this one scene, explaining what's going on instead of letting the audience figure out for themselves.
Mhm.
Hmm.
They're like, "Oh yeah, remember this scene that happened 2 minutes ago? We're going to bring a flashback back to that so you remember why this character is making this
Right.
decision." You're like,
Yeah.
it's either a I knew that, and most of the time it's a I've already seen this scene. I just watched it
Mhm.
because I don't feel like people are watching a TV show where something happens in the first episode and then 9 hours later in the finale they do a flashback to it. And even then, I don't think they need to do a flashback. I really like allowing the film or TV show to allow the audience to figure it out for themselves and to make their own interpretation of it. Because even
Hmm.
if the character making the final decision is reflected on their past actions and this flashback they just shoved in your face, if they got rid of that and just made the character make their decision without that flashback, anyone can interpret it in many different ways. But if you're forcing that perspective onto somebody, it's a lot less impactful on the person watching it. So
Yeah.
having
Very
a
true.
lot of freedom for the audience to think of why a character is making a decision is very good instead of constant flashbacks of remember when this happened, the character's doing it because of that. Remember this
Mhm.
happened, that was an Easter egg that we're going to point out to you right now instead of you figuring it out for yourself. Because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the reflection you do on the movies afterwards when you're thinking like, oh, that makes sense why they did that like later.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah.
ambiguity adds a lot of depth to
Yeah.
something. So
I
if
don't
you take
want
away the ambiguity, you take away the need to analyze and
Right.
further
Yeah.
reflect on it, maybe want to go see it again or introduce your friends to it. Like if
Yeah.
it's so clear cut, then there's no point in investing any more thought to it. Again,
yeah.
you're devaluing your own story and the characters. They're not given enough like freedom to wiggle around in
Mhm.
people's heads.
I feel a good
Yeah.
example of flashbacks would be Tangled. Like when Rapunzel's in her room and she notices that she's accidentally been
Uh-huh.
painting the sun or the
Yeah.
symbol of the kingdom in her art. And
Yeah.
it kind of goes through all the flashbacks of her seeing it and her childhood. And those kind of flashbacks where it's the character having those and that is pushing the story. I think that's okay. That's good. But if
So you
it's,
picked an
Yeah.
interesting example too, because I think Tangled does both things. Like it both does the flashbacks well and poorly because it has the 5 minute explanation scene at the beginning
Right.
that is unnecessary and kind of useless. And I don't,
yeah,
it's not good. But then you have, yeah, the flashbacks that are just, I mean, the whole scene of her
It's
remembering
her
takes
piecing
like
it
10
together.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 15 seconds of her just flashing and looking at all these little bits and pieces. And it's not so like slow that you get bored. It's exciting because every second is a new scene and you're like, yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh. You see her connecting the dots and that's what makes it fun. But the first 5 minutes are like you you're giving the whole thing away, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. You're telling me the punchline before I ever hear the joke. So I
Yeah,
already know. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is, yeah, if you skip the first, like the introductory 5 minutes ish of Tangled and then watch it all the way through, it's such a good movie. And I think this conversation goes back to what you were saying, Whitney, about this reminds you of like Totoro or like a Ghibli film. And a lot of it is like they're comfortable with that silence. They'll just let you
Yes.
watch it and you have to have a working memory of the things that you saw earlier because we're not going to show them to you again.
Hmm.
You have to
Hmm.
have been paying attention and been like fully invested in this world that a quiet child lives in.
Hmm.
And that's one reason why I love movies like this, where it's the perspective of the child of the main character, how
Hmm.
they view the world. And so Ben going through all of these trials in his life, he keeps tying it to the stories his mom told him. Granted, they're coming true and they're real, but he's still relating even things not happening in myth in just his real life. He's applying the stories to that to kind of wrap his small child brain around it. And I really like when movies kind of have that innocent perspective on a movie.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and with the characters, I loved that there were no real antagonists.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good unapologetic bad guy. Like, absolutely, I'm literally always saying that. But I love that we start this movie with this fear of the owl witch. Like, she's the bad guy. She turned all of everybody to stone. Like, she's gonna get Saoirse.
Yeah.
And I love when we meet her. She's been so focused on keeping all of her emotions locked down tight that she herself is turning to stone. She hasn't let herself feel anything in so long because it hurt her so badly to see her son hurt. And we see that
And
reflected with the grandma and the dad, right? Is
Mhm.
there she
there's a
is
lot of
introduced
sympathy
as
for
this
her.
like evil witch character and she's so mean and nasty and she doesn't really listen to people, but she has these quiet moments of looking at the dad whose name is Connor, yeah,
Honor
and
my
and
boy.
feeling you can see her heartbreak for him.
Mhm.
And it really humanizes her. Or she takes care of Saoirse when she finds her washed up on the sea. She's like so worried about her, and it really it puts a lot of her actions into context. She's
Yeah.
not just doing these things maliciously. She really does think this is the best thing to do for her son, for her family. I love that. I think that's great.
I agree too. And some every time I watch this movie, I see something new. And one thing that I was very proud of noticing, and I thought was very, very cool, when you get to Maka's house, the owl lady, when you get to her house, you see storm bottles piled up in the corner. They're filling the attic of all of these emotions that she's bottled away, whether it be from other people or her own emotions. She just has a lot of them. And then I noticed when the kids, Saoirse and Ben, went to their grandma's house, when Saoirse's in the grandma's room, you see like these pill bottles scattered across the room, kind
Mhm.
of in a similar way. And so it was like, oh, that's a very cool Easter egg that I didn't notice before. How the bottles kind of represent a way for her to, I guess, get her emotions under control. And I think that's very, very a cool thing to notice watching it again.
That's
Is
so
the
neat. I didn't catch that.
Hey, I've seen this movie like way too many times. I just noticed it. So,
She also says that too after she gets Saoirse out of the ocean, or at some point in the beginning, she's like, "Where are my pills? I need to take my medicine." Like, yeah,
mhm.
that definitely makes sense.
And
Mhm.
so even if like this wasn't a real thing and the stories weren't true, like in again from the child's perspective, if like Ben were like see those pill bottles everywhere and how it affects grandma's emotions, he could kind of tie seeing those bottles and imagining them as like grandma as the evil Maka and her pills are taking her emotions and making her act different. So that kind of
Mhm.
parallel of how a kid can view it, I think is very, very cool to notice.
Mhm.
And I need to find because I didn't know we had a chat, so I wasn't saving images, but now I need to look up one of my favorite screen like moments in the movie. So you guys
Okay.
keep talking amongst yourselves. I really because I again I could talk about this for so long. I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I do like just speaking of like the parallels between the family and the like mythical characters. I like that like the first moment you see the grandma, you're like, "Oh, she looks like an owl." Interesting. So then the whole time you like have it in your mind, like you're almost trying to see the relationship between Maka and the grandmother because from the beginning, you can tell that she looks like an owl. Maybe there's something there, you know? And I
Yeah.
like that it is so intentionally made. The art and the story and everything are meant to lead you in that direction, right? So it's not just like they happen to have the same body type. It's like you're supposed to see Maka in the grandmother, and then also when you go to the evil owl's house, you're supposed to see your grandmother
Mhm.
Hmm.
and have that kind of like sympathy for her. So yeah, I like that they lead you in that direction from the beginning, not just
Yeah.
because there's like a limited number of ways that a person can look, but because these are actually really similar characters.
Yeah,
Mhm.
my first time watching when Ben like put on his 3D glasses and barged into Maka's little house surrounded by thunderclouds, and he like entered and it was all quiet and he heard the grandma's radio. I'm like, is he just in his grandma's house now? Did he travel all the way back to Ireland and just thinks
Yeah,
he's on this quest but just went back to his grandma's house? That's how similar they made it Maka seem to the grandma. It's like my
yeah.
first time watching, like, is he just at his grandma's house now? What's happening? Because it was so similar.
Mhm.
Also, I found the picture I wanted to share.
Oh, goody, oh boy.
Here we
My
go.
favorite thing about the grandma is that and Maka is that they are both voiced by Annie O'Shea from uh Waking the Divine. And I
Awakening
like that a lot.
Divine. Yay. Oh,
It's
yes.
Oh my
This
gosh.
was
Yeah.
such a good
Yep.
moment. Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
unfortunately I can't find it, but later in the film, after all of for viewers at home who are just listening, the picture is of power lines from like the person's point of view where they're looking down like a tunnel of power lines and they're just giant metal structures that look like
Mhm.
owls.
Mhm.
And later in the film, it kind of goes back to this scene, but from a different perspective where it looks like the owls are side by side holding each other's hands instead of towering and looming over
Mm.
you.
Aw.
And that's another kind of, I'm trying to find a picture of it, but unfortunately I just can't. Just imagine owls holding hands after everything is good, and that's what it looks like. The kind of world building and storytelling through the design of the world is very, very nice, especially
Mhm.
that power line scene. I think is one of my favorite shots of the film.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. That one really stood out to me as well, actually, when I was watching it.
And as the characters like progress, they trying to get home to get Saoirse's coat. One thing that stood out to me, this is probably the stupidest thing I have on my list. This is not profound in any way. This is me just being a dingus.
Hmm.
I
A tall
was
dinkhead.
tall, hot dinkhead. Was Ben put Saoirse on Koo's back and he's like, all right, Koo, giddy up. And my brain was like, I wonder where giddy up came from. I just looked up this cowboy way of saying get up.
Hmm.
I just didn't know that. So now, if you guys didn't know where the origin of giddy up came from, just a cowboy's slang of saying
Now we
get
know.
up. Now I
Get
know.
ye up.
Get ye
Yep.
up.
Hmm.
Giddy up.
That's so
Giddy up.
true.
That totally makes sense that it would be get
Hmm.
ye up.
Get ye up.
Because howdy is like how do you do?
How do you do?
Um, that makes sense. And I think that'll actually be really helpful information for, again, the majority of our viewers like live in India. So they probably don't know cowboy phrases
Yeah.
as well as we do as Western American.
Yeah, we love
So
cowboys. And
we
hamburger?
love cowboy and
What does
hamburger.
yeehaw mean
Hamburger,
though?
hot dog. What does yeehaw mean?
Yeah.
I'll tell you first that I hate the meme that's like everyone always says yeehaw, but nobody ever asks haw ye because that's like, yes, they do. That's howdy. Like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? It's like it's annoying to
Yeah.
me because they're like, you clearly don't know cowboy slang. That's what
Fake
howdy
cowboy.
is. Yeah, boo. You probably don't even eat hamburger and hot dog. Apparently, the most common explanation is that it's directional commands for horses. So, like, ye being right and haw being left, and then you combine them, like, as an exclamation for we're going somewhere.
So like
That's cool.
starboard on a ship is like this way.
Right.
Or
It's like
okay.
port starboard, but it's
Or starboard, but
yeehaw
ye and haw.
For
Okay.
horse. That's
for
good.
All
Yeah.
right.
horse. It's port
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
starboard for horse. Yeah.
Starboard for horse. Um,
Yeah. I one thing I really liked, I'm still on my antagonist thought from before, is
yeah,
like that Ben really is the closest thing that the movie has to an antagonist. It's just the movie is from his perspective, right? And he starts off so mean and nasty, and he has to work to overcome that bitterness that he has for Saoirse, and like his moment of like development and decision is in Maka's house when they're with the jars, and he just apologizes to Saoirse. I should have been a better brother to you. That like I am so sorry.
yeah.
That's he's had to overcome that because he didn't protect her. He was supposed to be a better big brother, and you know now he's feeling the weight of that.
Yeah.
I like him a
And
lot.
it used to be what he wanted, before the baby came. He was like, I'm gonna be the best brother ever. I'm gonna love her so much. And then this just
Hmm.
happens with children generally. The baby
Hmm.
comes and you're like, when are we gonna give it back? Like, you know. But then added to that the level of like the baby came and I lost my mom, so it's
Hmm.
probably her fault. There's a
Yeah.
lot of weight to that, and he's a little enough kid that he can't really separate those ideas until
Hmm.
that moment where he decides, you know what, it's not like this was your fault. You're just a kid,
Yeah.
and I should have been better to you. Yeah,
And
And
and the fact that his father has clocked out mentally, he's not really
yeah,
there and seems to really only pay attention to Saoirse,
yeah,
like because that's his little girl. She looks like his wife, and that was the last thing that she gave him was their child. Like, yeah, he's not really focused. Like he says at the end, he's been dreaming for the last, 6 years. And that Ben also is just a little boy.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can't blame him too much for
this
holding on to these emotions. It's a complex, like you said, Olivia, it's a lot for a little kid to have to
yeah,
process. And he does. He's very grown up about it, very emotionally mature because you know,
and
he
this
pulled himself up by the bootstraps.
yeah, this
A phrase I
segues
hate, by the way.
yeah.
But
bootstraps.
Because it doesn't make any sense.
no,
If you're on the ground and you have your boot here, then if you lift on your boot, you're not going anywhere because you're on the ground.
exactly. It's a phrase that people say when they mean you have to do the work, you have to pull yourself up, you've got to like really grind. But it used
Mhm.
to mean you're trying to pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
You're
You
trying to
are
do
putting a lot
something
of
impossible.
energy that is not gonna work.
Mhm.
I hate the phrase so much. It drives me crazy. I'm like, yeah, that's my little
Before you
linguistics
get
rant.
too heated, you
Yeah.
guys were making a perfect segue into my favorite part of the film. But before we get to that,
Yay!
we have to
An ad break.
ad break. No,
Our sponsorship break.
not in my episode. I am the ad. Um, my one of my favorite concepts of this is the great Shanaki, the dude with all the hair.
Oh,
I
he's
think it's
great.
Mhm.
genius that they gave the person with every memory on the earth and access to every thought imaginable, all the history of the universe has short-term memory loss. I
Yeah.
thought that was genius.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And
That's a
so
lot for his noggin.
I know.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
so when Ben is with him, I think when Ben leaves and is trying to follow the hair out of the cave, that's my favorite part of the film. Is
Oh my
when
gosh.
he's it does the flashback
Beautiful.
thing again, but again in a very good way, where it shows you the opening scene, but then it shows it through his mother's perspective rather than his own,
Yeah.
and that I
Mhm.
think is super impactful and definitely one of the
Mhm.
biggest tear jerkers ever because it kind
Oh
of
my gosh.
as a kid he now understands like, oh, it wasn't Saoirse's fault that mom is
Yeah.
gone.
Hmm.
It's a
And
completely
he
different
remembers the
reason.
promise that he made.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to
Yeah.
be best friends with his sister. He wanted to be the best big brother in the world. And then he remembered that his mom expected that of him. So not only
Yeah.
has he let himself down, Saoirse down, but he's let his mom down. And yeah,
Yeah,
you see that I love when animated movies, like I love seeing the different crying styles, and I love how they did it in this movie with Ben. he's just leaking for so
Yeah.
long. And then later at the end of the movie, when we see the mom, her tears leaking upward. Love that. Love
Oh, I love
that.
that.
Oh
Love
my
that.
gosh. Yeah, really good. But yeah, so emotional. And it doesn't hold up either. You have to see Connor sitting there with the teeniest tiny little baby in his hands, and he's like, "This is your sister." And it's
Yeah,
like,
so
fine,
sad.
it's okay. It's no
It's
big
so
deal.
good.
Mhm.
It's so good.
So good.
But I'm trying to. So after Ben goes through, I call it his memory trip. After he goes through the Great Shanaki and finds his way to Maka's house, saves Saoirse. This is where I really enjoyed how they kind of mixed the two worlds together when Maka's like, car? What do you mean car? Have a giant spiritual dog. And they get to just run across the countryside and it goes through all of the adventures they've had in like the past day or so. Just
Like the
running.
cat bus.
Yeah,
Like the
like the
cat
cat bus.
bus.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Totoro.
Uh-huh.
I need to rewatch that movie. I love Totoro.
Yeah. And like over the garden wall, when one of the siblings is
So
dying
true.
and the other one is like, no, 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 we're not having that. Brings them back from the brink.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
But
They're
who really
one and the
saved who in
same.
Over the Garden Wall? Over the Garden
Okay,
Wall.
good
Because like
question.
Gregory did kind of all the work. While Word was being a dramatic bitch the whole time.
That is true. Very
Pardon my
real.
French, but
No, I think it's
Word was
safe to
kind of
say. I think
dramatic.
Wirt would agree with you.
Yeah.
Something I did notice, this is a more of on the comedy side of things, when this is so stupid. I'm sorry I'm bringing this up, but it's so funny to me when Maka is setting Ku to go and like take them home. She goes, "Goku, go!"
Goku.
And then even later, Ben goes,
Goku.
"Goku, Goku!" And I'm like, imagining Goku the whole
Goku.
time. I'm like, come on, it's so funny.
That's pretty good, actually. I'm glad
As
you brought that up.
I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, we needed to lighten the mood a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't worry. And now
Yeah.
going into our pop
Well,
quiz
can I just say
segment.
one thing about
Pop quiz though, hold on.
Yes. It's pop, so you have to. It's like
Do
right now.
not look it up.
Okay.
Do not use any Google information.
Hmm.
we're not
How do
cheaters?
you spell Saoirse?
Okay, I know
Mm.
this actually because does it count if I looked it up beforehand?
With your
What?
knowledge as it
Why would
is,
you
you
ask
cannot.
that?
It's
Oh,
Can
fine.
so
I
I can.
can
It's
I
your
type it into the
yeah.
chat?
Type it into the chat. You have 10 seconds, and on
Okay.
0, you're both gonna send how you
Oh,
spell
Okay.
Saoirse.
Oh,
You
okay,
have ten
okay.
Because I
seconds
don't want
to
to. If
write it
I
out in a
type it,
message.
if I
Yeah,
spell it correctly and then send it, then you could be cheating off of my answer. But if we send it same
exactly.
time,
So you
then we
guys,
know who's right. Okay.
yeah, you have
Okay.
10 seconds. If you
Can
have it
do.
typed out,
Ready?
all
Yep.
right, let's just go from three. 3, 2, 1. Send it.
Send.
Bam.
Yeah!
Hey!
Hey, we
You guys
know
are
it all,
Let's
awesome.
Ben.
go.
I spelt
I
it wrong in my notes on purpose, obviously.
Oh.
I will, yeah. I had to look it up because I would have had no idea.
Yeah,
Those
it's
Irish, man, not to be racist or anything, but Asian people, no. The way they spell their words really
Mhm.
confuses the way that I have been taught to
But
spell words. And
Saoirse is
so
such
Mhm.
a pretty name. I love the name
it's
Saoirse.
It
love it's
is
so pretty. I
very.
also like Ku
Ku?
because that's just
Yeah,
we have Saoirse, which is spelled to
with
me
every
the
letter.
worst. Yes.
Every
And then we have Ku, which is
See
CU,
you. Yeah. Ku.
which by the way, this is what I was gonna say before pop quiz, which we aced.
Yeah. Good job.
Um,
Let's
Women
go.
in STEM,
Ku,
am I right?
yeah,
Hmm.
we're educated. We have degrees sometimes. I have a degree somehow.
We
It
have
means
degrees
hound.
sometimes.
I have a first degree murder, but that's not probably
Oh, okay.
what yours
Well,
is.
We
Is
could,
do you
that's
have a
fine.
but
school
The
we
degree
can
or do
say
you have
some
like
hound.
broad
first degree
path.
assault and battery?
Yeah.
Second degree burn.
Mm.
Uh,
Oh, I'm on my
uh-huh.
third one this year.
Oh, nice.
That's
Congrats.
impressive. Yeah, not many people
Yeah.
could say that. Yeah. I was just saying, say Ku means hound. His name is
Does
Dog.
Dog.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I like it when pet names are simple. Just
Hmm.
naming your
Yeah,
dog
that's good.
dog.
Yeah, life is beautiful, you know?
I think I lied to you guys earlier when I was talking about my favorite part of the movie.
Oh.
Don't look at me like that.
That is unforgivable. I would never say that. When I
Let me rephrase that. I led you guys to believe a different thing so I could surprise you later with a better thing. How does that sound?
I
Yay!
love
Surprise!
Love surprises. All right. The reunion when they're all together,
Mm,
everything's frantic on the boat.
Oh my
Ben
gosh.
is diving for the coat for Saoirse to save her, and then Connor's trying to find Ben. Everything's hectic, and then they finally get together. Saoirse gets in the coat. The seals flip the boat over, and
mm,
they're like, "Oh, everything's fine. Saoirse's good because she's turning into her silky form. Everything's so good." And then afterwards, when they land on the rock island of the giant dude, what's his name? I just watched it yesterday.
Max something.
McLear, yeah, the great
Yep.
McLear.
mm,
Uh, his island where he's turned to stone. The whole sequence of Saoirse singing,
Oh my gosh.
mm,
mwah, it's chef's kiss, and that's not even the best part. The part that gets me the most out of the whole film, that literally has me weeping. It's weird. Growing up, like I'd never cry watching movies. I just never got too emotionally attached to them. The older I get, the more like empathy I feel towards characters and the more I can relate to them. And so the moment
Character
when,
development.
yeah, I
mhm,
think the part that gets me the most is when Connor gets to talk to his wife again and gets to hug
Oh my
her
mhm,
gosh.
and kiss her again. That moment right there has me bawling my eyes out because the whole movie you just see the pain Connor is going through that's pushing all these things to happen. And then he gets just the perfect amount of closure. They don't push it, they don't give them too much dialogue. It's again with the lack of dialogue that they have with each other is so impactful. And it's so beautiful and it's so good.
Mhm.
I love it.
Mhm. I have two moments in that sequence. It's
mhm,
when McClear Maka lands on his finger and she's so tiny. And
Mm-hmm.
they just smile at each other. And she's kind of a sad smile. And you think, is it because of her design as an owl, or could it be perhaps other factors? Like she's saying, I'm sorry I turned you to stone for so long. A little
mhm.
bit. It's like,
Maybe a
it's such
little
a
bit of
beautiful
regret
moment.
because she can
Yeah.
feel that again. I don't know.
Yeah. And he just smiles back at her. Like, it's just such a beautiful moment of mutual understanding and forgiveness. I love it so much. And then second moment is when Saoirse is holding her mom's hand and she's just whispers, her voice is so tiny. Mom,
Mhm,
I want to stay. Okay, okay. Uh-huh.
mhm.
Yeah.
This
No,
brother
I
who's been like
lost it.
majority mean to her for her whole life, like occasionally
Mm-hmm.
is nice, but mostly isn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the dad who's been obviously spiraling in grief for 6 years because he lost his
Mm-hmm.
wife, you know. Mm. She still looks
She's
at
all
that
we
and is like,
have.
no, that is like where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I want
think
to
a
stay.
big part of that decision is because, frankly, Saoirse didn't grow up with her mom, so she doesn't know her probably as well as
Hmm.
Ben or Connor do. And so I feel like that's a big deciding factor in Saoirse's choice. But also, yeah, the whole story kind of growing their bonds with each other, especially with Ben and Saoirse, they get such like a good brother sister bond, and I feel like that's portrayed perfectly on how they're basically beating each other up and punching each other the whole movie. That's very what siblings
Hmm.
do. That is accurate. And then
Yeah.
there's also the points where they're like very caring for each other, and they're like, "Hey, I know I'm really kind of mean to you, but like we're still good, and I care for you deeply." And so like they have kind of
Mm-hmm.
both of those punching each other around and showing like we are siblings, we do that, but also we love each other a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, Saoirse's choice at the end when like you said, how she's just like, I want to stay is super wholesome. The whole
Hmm.
It's so beautiful.
and I think the payoff of the whole movie, like it doesn't need too much of they lived happily ever after and they did this and they did this and they did this. Any time where there's just like kind of leaves it open for the imagining what their life is going to be like now that they're all together and they all have closure and they're happy again. makes you happy.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
it leaves room for the sequel when,
There doesn't need to be a
we find
sequel. No, don't say that.
It makes room for the sequel because Saoirse actually finds the Infinity Gauntlet when she's swimming
Ow!
as a seal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Going back to the comedy bit with their sibling relationship, I knew I was going to absolutely love this movie when Ben is clearly scared of the water and gets pulled in by Koo.
Mhm.
And he's like frantically drowning. He's flopping around. And then Saoirse walks up and she's like 4 ounces tall. And
Mhm.
she's barely ankle deep in the water. And she's just kind of look at him. She
And
doesn't
Ben's
help
in
him
his life jacket and cape, and he's like, "I'm dying."
Yeah.
and he pulls out his gun on her because they're not
Water gun,
Americans. It's
water
not a
gun,
real gun.
water
Yeah.
gun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Important to
Yeah.
note. And is like, stick him up. You're under arrest. Like, he's so angry because she almost killed him just now. How could you do this? Again,
Yeah.
she
In
was maybe
reality,
half an
he
inch.
could have just like found the ground, stood up, and been fully out of the like he would have been
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. And Koo, like
Yeah.
poor thing, is like, shut up and listen to me. Like I so wish that I spoke the same language as you. Because you're freaking out over I'm trying to help you. It's fine.
It gives me like the same feeling. Have you guys seen the movie Astro Boy, the newer one?
No.
Nicolas Cage is in that one.
Yeah,
Why
he
do you keep
is.
bringing up Nicolas Cage?
It's on accident, but have you seen that one?
You
Because
just
there's
sent me a gun emoji.
it's a water gun.
Astro Boy.
But in that
Yeah.
movie, there's these children that live in like the wasteland. They're not educated, they
On the
can't read,
surface.
but there's a robot dog that understands language and can write words. And so the dog that can only it's only programmed to bark uses its like metallic paws to write letters in the dirt. It's like Astro Boy's actually a robot because he's hiding it from these wasteland kids who hate robots. And Astro Boy is a
Mhm.
robot. And the dog's like, he's a robot. Look, I'm writing it in the dirt. He's a robot. And the kid's like, damn, really wish I knew how to read. And so this dog is like desperately trying to communicate with the humans. He's a robot, and they're like, "Sorry, I can't read."
That's so funny.
That's a really funny. Like, oh well.
That sucks.
See, I feel like I need to rewatch that one again because I watched it when it first came out. I was
Mm-hmm.
so young. But I remember it being a really gripping thing about like there's a Frankenstein element where his son explodes to death and then Nicolas Cage rebuilds him as a robot and then is
Mhm.
like, my son is back, but then he's not. He's different. He's a robot
Mhm.
and also his personality is different. And he's like, why are you expecting me to act like this kid who I'm not? And then his dad is like, why are you not acting like my kid? I made you
Mhm.
both. You should be the same. Maybe there's something there. It could also just be dumb though. I don't remember.
Mhm. Hard to know, yeah, without a rewatch with a
Yeah,
formed
but
brain.
I will say the he is a robot, I can't read thing.
That's
That's
funny.
funny. That's
That is
funny.
Funny.
Yeah, that's like proper funny.
There's so many good jokes in the movie because I watched it kind of recently, and it was one of those things like I was saying earlier, how watching a movie I watched as a kid and watching it now, you pick up on those jokes that you
Hmm.
didn't find
Mhm.
funny as a kid. That movie's filled to the brim with clever writing. I love it so
Okay,
No,
much.
I'm gonna have to
that's
rewatch it
good.
because the only thing that I remember from having seen it and from the trailer is that Astro Boy is like, there's a rocket launcher in my butt. That's like or there's a machine gun or something. And is
Yeah,
like, because he's a robot.
and that's one of those they have to do it. It's a kids movie.
It's a
The butt
kid's
joke.
movie. Yeah, 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 yeah.
There's it's very rare you get a butt joke that's actually comical and very funny, other than just kind of the low hanging fruit for the kids to go, ah, ha, ha, let's watch that movie. He's got
But
guns in his butt.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
true.
What I know about it is that I just looked it up just now, and Kristen Bell is in it, and also Freddie Highmore, who is the good doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
He's a
goodest of
surgeon.
doctors. I am a
He is
surgeon.
He's
a
a
surgeon.
surgeon. He's a surgeon.
I am
He's
a
a
surgeon.
surgeon.
Yeah,
That's a shame. He used to be
I
such a
did
good
like
actor.
months ago at somebody's house who I won't say. We were like, chatting, we did some little work, we had some food, And she was like, we should watch some TV. I'm like, totally sure, because you know how I love movie.
Mhm.
Famously, that's true. So she
Yeah.
like put on and she's like rolling through stuff and she's like, oh, have you seen The Good Doctor? And I was like, no. But I didn't know yet if she was asking because she thought it was funny. No. She really liked it. She thinks that it's a good show.
I
Oh.
still
And I
have
said,
yet to
oh.
watch it. I've seen so
I
Ugh.
many
will
like
say the first episode, she's telling me it's like one of the best TV pilots she's ever seen. And I think that she just doesn't watch that much TV.
now the question we can I don't know if you just upload your podcasts up raw with all of the dialogue or if you edit it down, but you could cut this part of me saying this out and we can do another episode where we talk about our favorite TV shows and what makes them good.
Uh-huh.
If you guys
We could
have
do
time and
that.
want to do that, or
That's
even at a
true.
different
We
date.
could do that. We could do that. Well, we could do that on a different date. We can like tease it now
Okay.
and then have like maybe we have like a second episode where instead of all talking about the same movie, we all bring like our favorite TV pilot.
Awesome. Well,
Hmm.
I look forward to being in a next episode. I don't want to drag this on too long because if we have 3 hours of me talking about the same movie, it might get
I don't know if
tiring.
you've seen the length of any of our previous episodes,
I
but
have not.
It's
I'm used
it's anywhere from like 25 minutes to 3.5 hours. So
3.5 hours.
you're fine. I
Dude,
know, and
okay.
that one, okay, I edited
Mhm.
it a lot and it
Mhm.
still just was so long.
We
Any
So
talked,
you're good.
yeah.
We're actually in good time. We plan on like 2-ish hours, so this is good.
cool.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a very what's the word? The podcasts that I listen to a lot, they're like 45 to 50 minutes long, and they're always like, well, we have to cut it short because they have like a very specific time frame. So in my brain, I'm like, we're going over time. This is bad. Do they really want to hear me talk more? Huh?
I'm
Well,
gonna get a
that's
bad
kind of the
grade in
beauty.
guest star. No.
That's the beauty of getting to do it with us, where we have, as you said, thousands of subscribers, but
Hmm.
we don't we don't give a damn what any of them think. Most of our
And
views
Yeah.
come from me listening to the episodes over and over again before they're even released, before
Before
they're
they're
published.
released, yeah.
Yeah.
If you
and the
see
best
like a
part,
video posted on our channel and it's like posted 1 minute ago, 10 views, 9 of them are Whitney.
Yeah. That's the fun thing is because like we're not sponsored. We don't have anybody lording over us except for you, Jude,
yeah.
like
Mhm.
dictating what we should and should not do. So if you are thinking, are we going over time? No, you're not. You're in charge.
I
Mhm.
think that was one joke I said that got way too out of hand. I think the responsibility of owning this channel is way too much because I just don't want to edit them. I'll leave that to you guys.
Yes, that we share the responsibility equally.
Yeah,
Mhm,
you get
mhm.
Mhm.
100% of the profits. I just get the satisfaction of a job well done.
Oh, that's beautiful. And
I love it.
if we ever made a single cent on one of these, I would really feel like, wow, look at this profit that I have earned.
And in the end,
Someday.
it's not about the profit. It's about sharing your opinion and forcing your beliefs onto other people's to force them
It is.
to agree
Real.
with
Well, and
you.
that's what we're always
Yes.
saying. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's why we
Hmm.
end every video by saying, watch Waking Ned Divine this
Yep.
week.
This
Yep.
week.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
always say opinions are subjective. You're allowed to have your own opinions. It's just that sometimes your opinions are wrong.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're
Hmm.
incorrect. Sometimes you come into my house and say, I hate the movie Rango. It's so boring. And sometimes I might never talk to you again.
I'm assuming that the
So
person that said they hated Ringo, they're 6 feet under, right? They better be.
I don't know. I genuinely have not talked to her since. I'm so glad you were able to join. There's something so freeing about being like getting all your thoughts and your wiggles out
No.
into the world on the internet, and then you don't have to think about them anymore. You don't have to hold on to them.
And we just
Hmm.
scratched the surface of things I like to talk about. So we
True. Yeah.
have much more content for me available. If you guys are interested, I'll also give you a sneak
I
peek
think
of
we should.
uh
Oh, sorry.
we can actually bring my mother in right now if you want for a sneak peek of what she will be like next time.
Whoa. And then next time, face reveal.
Come here. You're popular.
Um, I think you could be like a monthly recurring
You
guest,
are.
frankly.
Yeah, I think so. I'm like shaking. I'm so excited to meet her.
Hold this around your head, but don't actually put it on your ears.
Uh-huh.
Say hello to my mother.
Hello, mother.
Hi.
We've heard so much about you.
Oh, all negative, I'm sure.
I'm your biggest fan.
But you know what? It's all true.
They were chanting, "Mom, mom, mom," because they want you on the podcast.
No way.
So,
But I watch Schitt's Creek, so you have to say the word shit.
Oh no.
I know. It's like poop, but worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been dying. Like Jude was telling me about your podcast, and I was like, I love podcasts. And if you're talking movies, I want to know. If you're talking TV shows, I want to know. If you're talking books, I want to know. And he goes, I don't know. I'm like, we'll go find out. And then he's like, well, I'm on right now, Mom. And I go, oh, good. What's the name of the effing podcast? By the way, I'm not cussing because I don't know exactly where you guys stand at cussing. And I swear like a sailor. Anyways, so I'm like, what's the effing podcast? And he goes, I still don't know. Would you shut up and be quiet during my podcast?
tell my mom the name of the podcast. She'll love it.
Yeah, it's Women in STEM, but then we're usually talking about like movies, TV shows, and books. So we just change STEM to stand for other stuff.
So M being movies, T for television, E for entertainment, S for any kind of shit like Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, that's
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You nailed it.
I love this so much. I love it with a capital R. Dude, purple water bottle right behind you. I love it. It's ginormous. I need it.
It's mine.
And
Yeah, I got it
picture.
at Walmart for $8.
I have one bigger than that. I wish he had a camera so I could brag that mine's bigger than yours.
It's a 5-gallon.
Yeah, mine's like so big that when I had my hysterectomy, they're like, sorry, you can't pick up your water bottle until you heal. I'm like, well, you said I couldn't lift heavy things. They're like, have you seen your water bottle? You cannot lift that up.
Nothing's going to fall out.
I know. Well, they actually said my pooper could fall out.
Oh.
The whole inside could prolapse. I'm like, okay.
You don't want that.
I was like, Jude, you have to serve me because I don't want to. Oh, he's taking it away from me. I can't hear you. I love you guys. You're amazing, STEM.
Bye. See you later.
They want you to on next time they do a podcast to talk about your favorite TV shows from the pilot of Schitt's Creek. So next time we're getting you on to talk about
David,
Schitt's Creek.
of course. I love it. They watched Schitt's Creek.
Good. We'll look forward to it.
Yeah.
We'll schedule you in.
Yeah, they've seen Schitt's Creek.
Yes, I love them. Now you need to tell Jude how I'm like adopting you, and he's going to renegotiate
I told him
his
to watch
terms.
Den of Thieves also. They
Second
it's just
Jude.
Den of Thieves. They
Oh
totally.
yeah, Den of Thieves. You haven't seen number
Get
2
right,
yet.
Jude.
I haven't seen number 2, but Whitney seems very on board with watching the first Den of Thieves.
I love
Yes,
Gerard
yes,
Butler
yes.
so much.
Unrated version.
She's
rated
also
version.
in love
Sure.
with Drug Butler.
Do you think he's the best Phantom of the Opera ever? Even though I've been to Broadway, he is the best Phantom of the Opera ever.
I do. I've never seen or
oh my
heard
goodness,
any
I
other
almost- I'm
Phantoms.
reaching for the screen and I keep getting stopped. I'm
And
trying
I
to hug
never
you, and
will.
I'm hitting his television
Never
screen.
will,
Oh my
exactly.
goodness. Ow. Ow.
He's the
I'm trying
only
to hug
one
you.
to
Ow.
me.
I'm trying to hug you. Ow.
She's saying like he's the only one.
What?
The only Phantom for her.
He's the OG of the OP.
He means everything to me.
All right, we'll get you fangirls on next time.
Okay, I love you, girl.
Bye.
That's my mom.
You're right. She's cooler than you.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
No, I'm
Oh.
kidding.
No, I always explain it that like she's just imagine another version of me, but a lot louder and a lot more excited about everything
No.
and knows more stuff. She's just me, but older. Because she has
Yeah.
like more experience than
Yeah.
I do or something.
Pretty much.
That tends to be the thing with moms.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
my foreseeable future. That's how I'm gonna end up, is just like her. So everyone loves her, then I'm doing something good so far.
True.
Yeah, that is true.
She doesn't believe
Let
me
us know
I
when
say
you
she's
plan your
the best.
hysterectomy.
Yes.
That way you don't have to worry about picking up heavy things.
Yeah,
I know.
we'll come in and lift all your stuff for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Give me on an episode while I'm going in for surgery so the doctors can be like, oh, he is a woman because he's on the podcast Women in STEM.
Because women in
Right.
STEM,
'Cause,
Obviously.
we don't make the rules.
No.
Actually, I don't know if you guys
Private
heard, but everyone is the gender that they are at conception now.
Oh,
everyone
that's everyone's
is
Oh,
a-
so everyone
a
is
woman,
a woman.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone is a woman, yeah.
Yay.
So we're all women in STEM.
Congrats.
Yay. Oh, that's so
Slay, let's
beautiful.
go.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was gonna say I actually was trying to form the words with my mouth. Everyone say thank you, Donald Trump, and I couldn't even get them out. Not even as a joke.
Mhm. No.
Like,
No. Yeah.
not to
Yeah.
end the episode on this note. I'm so sorry.
No. Well,
Yeah,
how
We
we're
about
talked
like
about we talked
we're
about
like,
Song of the
yay,
Sea.
Jude,
this?
Jude's
Speaking of
mom.
Donald Trump, how about Home Alone 2? Lost in New
We
York.
talked
Oh,
about
we
Home Alone
just
2,
did that
Lost in
one.
New York.
We just
Right.
Best
recently did
movie.
that one.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I get on here, I have to look at all the movies you've already talked about, so I don't feel dumb bringing them up like you haven't talked about them.
Well, I feel this has
I
been pretty productive.
I think so. We talked
I,
about the movie a
I
lot.
found it. If I type in
Mhm.
women in STEM, Olivia, it's the fourth one that comes up.
One more thing.
Wow.
That's
We're
amazing.
moving up in the world.
That's
See it?
incredible.
What's with the acid room?
Well, that's funny.
Yes, because if people need to know what you look like on the internet, and so the picture of you two with the acid room.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
It's funny. We
The
went
acid room?
we went to a water park in North Dakota, and as we were leaving, there's a door that just says acid room, and we were like, it's freaking hilarious. Yeah,
Dude, get me
That's
on
true.
all of these episodes. Hello, Holes, Monsters Inc., Three
Mhm.
Idiots,
mm-hmm.
Yep,
Princess
yep,
of
yep.
Nim, Ratatouille. Oh my word, you guys have flushed away.
Yes.
Galaxy
Just
Quest,
saying.
dude. Oh
That's what
my
I'm saying.
Yeah,
Every
and
episode that we've talked about is a good movie. We just
yeah.
haven't gotten through all the good movies.
Three Idiots is such a good movie. I
it
remember the
is a good.
first time I watched it, and I was like, this just changed my life. It was super good.
Yep, it does. That's so true.
Mhm.
Same with RRR. I found it. Women in STEM. Boink.
You
I was
found
so
us?
cool. I found it on YouTube by myself. Well, who's that woman
I'm
in
so
the
proud of you.
profile picture?
Great question. That's Eminem.
Oh my god, it is.
We yassified
I was like, it looks so
Because
familiar.
there's a post that I saw forever ago where somebody like yassified Eminem and tried to convince somebody that it was their girlfriend.
it.
And somebody fell for it, and some other person was like, "That's Marshall Mathers. Like, that's definitely not your girlfriend." So it's like it's a cool test to see like who recognizes Eminem. But yeah, it's also because like so the
And there's
channel is
another
like women in STEM, so it's like the first half of STEM, the last half of STEM, and then you put the word women in the middle. But when you read it
Yeah.
straight through, it looks like Saint Women M, and we're like Women M. That's Eminem as a girl. So Saint Women M. I need to at some point I'm gonna like update it so that she has like a halo and stuff. So it's Saint Women M. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the result of like a 30-second face app
Yeah,
edit that I
pretty
did.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the things that we do on this channel just start as a joke, and then
hmm
eventually we do it for so long that it's like, this is how it is.
Yep.
There's so many
Mhm.
videos I want to just give you guys validation for making videos
Yay.
about
You
these
could go through and
movies.
comment on them.
I think
Yeah.
all of your listeners should do that. I'm gonna go and validate every single one that I like, which looks like most of them.
Nice.
Woohoo!
If I'm the first comment, I'm
Very
just gonna
cool.
write first comment though.
Okay. Yeah, you just gotta bump up our like engagement. However, you can say mean stuff if you want, but don't.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a good place to end for all of us, I think.
Cool. I think so.
I think so.
Do you
Good
guys have a good
talk.
do you have a good outro for your podcast?
We super don't.
We've
No.
we've never ever done an
Sometimes I
outro.
cut
We
off
haven't come up with a
Whitney
joke for it.
mid-sentence.
I think you should keep doing that. I think
Like
that's
we're done now.